Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Fits. I decided to take a little try out a new direction because I was getting, in the morning I was kind of like I didn't seem to have any direction on my talks because I've been doing these now for over 90 days and I don't want to repeat myself. And so I want to stay fresh. And I decided to fall back on, I have a couple of boxes of these Eckhart Tolle quotes. And I've been writing on these as a spiritual discipline for over a decade. It's on Meditations on Eckhart Tolle. It's a page. And I may have had it on a blog before I did that. So every morning I would turn over a quote and write. So it's kind of a surrender to the quote. And I discovered that what I wrote informed me, just as the quote did. So it became what I call a spiritual practice. So I thought, well, geez, I could do that here, and then every day we'll turn over a new quote, and we could talk about that. So let me read today's quote, and I also write it down on my Facebook wall so that you can read it, and then hopefully we can get some comments going. But anyway, here we go. If you can be absolutely comfortable with not knowing who you are, then what's left behind is who you are. The being behind the human. So let's keep that in mind. The being behind the human. A field of pure potentiality rather than something that is already defined. Give up defining yourself. To yourself and others. You won't die. You will come to life. So, okay. So I wrote a few points up here. And I really like this, the being behind the human. That just rings for me. And this idea of being absolutely comfortable with not knowing who you are. Now this goes back to all the spiritual wisdoms of the value or the space of not knowing. And the key there is being comfortable with not knowing, because conditionally in our world, not knowing is the most uncomfortable place to be. We are driven to know, to be certain, to be righteous, to have an opinion, to have a position, to have a perspective. I mean, if you don't know, then who are you? You don't know, you see? You don't know how to you don't know how to drive? Oh boy, the reason I'm laughing about that is because my father was always very critical of me, and even after he had a stroke, he would be sitting in the back and I'd be driving, and if there was the slightest bit of ambiguity or hesitation in my driving, don't you know how to drive? Don't you know where you're going? So anyway, I digress. So this being comfortable with not knowing is really the key to spiritual practice. So going on and behind, I missed out a word here. Behind the known is now. And so another word for being is now. Being is now. The being is not an idea. Being is not something out there that you can go find or point to or defined. There's no way to know what being is because being is now. So if you look at now, you can't define now because now is I'm looking in my room now is that chair, now is the sofa, now is the light, now is the window, now is the board, now is me. Everything here is now. So if I define anything here in this room, it's not now. Now includes the whole. The whole. Now is all, you see. So being is going to be all. So being cannot be defined. Once you select something out of being, you've defined something, and now that something is known, but being is the backdrop. Being is the context, the whole, out of which the known rises, you see? So pure potential has not been defined. So what is being now, or the all, but pure potential? So this room is being. And I can relax and not know anything and just be aware of the whole room. But as soon as I become aware of and focus my attention on something, I bet you didn't know that until you weren't aware of that until I held it up. As soon as I hold it up, now that becomes something. And the context out of which it rose falls back, you see. So we can go from this thing to, I bet you weren't aware of this until I held it up. So our consciousness that focuses on things gives the things reality or being. But the all out of which it rises is not known. We can only know things. We can only know objects, ideas, thoughts, feelings, something. We can only know something, but the now out of which everything rises is the unknown. See, words, we really have to work with words in order to see how they're all kind of like referring to the same thing. So this idea then of pure potential has not been defined. So the room here is pure potential for any object I want to make known, which is, now I look at that lamp and I'm thinking about the lamp. Or if you look at this again, you could say, okay, now just look at that little knob. Now you just keep focusing on that little knob. Now the knob is known, and the whole eraser marker falls back. And then if you get a microscope and you start going into that thing, you can start looking at the molecular structure. So the deeper we go, zoom into the known and bringing up in things into focus, out the background or the being out of which it rises falls back into background. And then we can reverse and start going back. We'd stop looking at, then we're back to here again, you see? And then if I put this in my pocket, now, you see, and then focus on me, you see, that includes this now. This is a part of me. So now I exist as the known. You know. So we have to give a different idea of what known means. And so, getting back to his quote, this pure potentiality, you see, is that out of which everything that defined rises. So, if you give up defining yourself, what happens? If you give up defining yourself to yourself and others, you become being. You fall back into the undefined. You fall back into the all. And the all is life. The all is, he will say, you will come to life, you see. So you will come to the being that is behind you, that is the object you defined, which is a self-image. See, so anytime we have a feeling about myself as being defined, and when I define myself, I feel contracted, I feel apart. I feel isolated. I feel in exile. So my self-definition is going to be a rub, is going to feel like I'm out of alignment. So, with a car, when the car is out of alignment, there is a pull. It wants to go to the right. Or there might be a wobble. Wobble, see. So we take it to the shop and we get alignment. And so definitions, all right, let's use the car as a metaphor. So a self-definition, like, why is this happening to me? Or you hurt me. That's a self-definition. You hurt me means I define myself as somebody who's hurt. And obviously if I hurt, somebody did it, so you did it. Or the world did it. Or somebody did it, you see. Either somebody or myself. But anyway, this whole idea of the self-definition, we can notice it when we hurt, when there's pain, just the feeling of being off, just the feeling of being out of sorts, just the feeling of having a wobble, or pulling. I'm pulling to the right. Why am I not? I'm not going straight down the road. I'm kind of like, I have to make effort, you see. When the car's out of alignment, you have to make effort to keep it on the road. And that effort to keep it on the road is a very subtle pain or suffering. Buddha calls it dukkha. So this suffering or rub is a clue that we're out of alignment. But what can we get in alignment with, since everything is defined? Is there anything, the way we're conditioned to think is that if I'm going to if I'm out of alignment and I have to get in alignment, I have to get in alignment with something. If you're in a snowstorm, in a whiteout, there is a panic of being out of alignment because you can't see anything. You can't see a road, a sign, a tree, or nothing. This is a terror that we can, we play with it in movies. But we all have moments of that when suddenly, we think it's Alzheimer's. You come out of a movie theater and you don't know where you are for a moment because you've been so in the movie, you lost all of your alignment to the world. So you come back into the world and there's a moment where I don't even know where am I, and then suddenly, you see something and it clicks and the world clicks into space. Or you're driving and you daydream and you snap to and you have no idea where you are. Wait a minute, nothing is familiar. Did I go past my thing? Or is it up ahead? I don't know. Did I pass my turn or is it ahead of me? I don't know. There's a moment of out of alignment. And then you see a station. I know where I am now. Everything is okay. I know, you see. But that unknowing, that not knowing, is from our world of being in alignment with things, a panic. And so what Tolle is saying is that you can only get in alignment with life when you're absolutely comfortable with not knowing who you are. You see the irony of that? Well, that's why everybody's out of alignment. Because we're all trying to get in alignment with something that is defined. But you see, the alignment with life and your true nature, which is the undefined, means you have to get in alignment with nothing. You have to get in alignment with no thing. Because if you get in alignment with a thing, you're getting alignment with the known, and now you're out of alignment with the unknown. You're out of alignment with not knowing. So this, and I was thinking this morning when I was writing, so this is where a spiritual practice comes in. Now, by a spiritual practice, you can make a spiritual practice out of anything. You can read the Bible every day. In other words, a spiritual practice, first of all, is a practice, okay? Now, a practice is something you do. If you're going to learn how to play the piano, you practice the piano. But that's a practice with a goal. Okay? So you practice the piano so you can become a good piano player and people will enjoy your music. Nothing wrong with that. Whatever we do, we're going to practice to make it better. I mean, this is a given. But a spiritual practice now, and using spiritual in the sense of getting in alignment with the all or being. See, spiritual means the whole. Spirit means no thing, no material thing, right? That's material. Materialism, material. Get in alignment with something. So spiritual alignment is in alignment with no thing. And we make the mistake of saying, well, spirit is something. Well, spirit is not something. You see, spirit, we get in alignment with an idea of spirit. Now we've made a false idol. You see, spirit is an idea, and I got to get in alignment with spirituality as an idea so I can become spiritual and be better than other people. See, all falls back into misalignment, you see. So spirit means no thing. So how can you get alignment with no thing? Well, a spiritual alignment is doing something. Well, take the spiritual practice of every morning for the last I've forgotten how long it is now, maybe over a decade. Every morning I would do a practice. It started out by reading something in Eckhart Tolle, and then it morphed into writing something about Eckhart Tolle. So I got these quotes, and I would turn a card over, and I would write to it, whatever came up, and there was no purpose in it. I mean, I wasn't writing to become a famous, although you go through the stages of doing it for some purpose. But the spiritual practice, when you keep doing it, you go through the tendency to align your practice on getting something out of it. That's why meditation is a spiritual practice. It's a practice because when you keep doing it, no matter what, you see, this becomes a vow. In other words, I vow to do this practice every morning, no matter what. The practice will begin to grind away, wipe away any gaining idea we have in the practice. So we start out a practice, you see, with aligning it on, well, I want to get something out of it. I want to become awakened, enlightened. I want to be free from stress and suffering. I want to be a better person, yada, yada, yada. So this is in alignment with something, an idea in the future. I want to use this practice in order to get to the future where I feel I'll be in alignment with life. Okay, well, a true spiritual practice will start out like that, but all expectations are going to be ground away, wiped away. And the practice, if it's a vow, you keep doing it even though you realize you're not getting any, there's no purpose in it. So this is very hard to describe, but the practice then becomes its own purpose. So the practice is not aligned with something in the future, but the practice then is aligned with now. So the means and the end become one. We start out with the means separate from the end. The means is the practice, and I want to get to an end. I want to get better, smarter, yada, 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 you see. But as we do the practice, the expectations of the practice begin to be doubted, begin to be wiped away, because you're not getting anything out of it. So you begin to doubt, what's the purpose of this? Well, why do this? I'd rather stay in bed. But no, you keep the vow. So you have to get through these stages of the practice, where the practice and the mind and the expectations and the alignment with things in the world, the alignment with the world begins to be questioned and begins to deconstruct, you see, leaving you with nothing but the practice. Now the practice becomes a refuge. Now the practice becomes an alignment with not something in the future, but with the being behind you. The practice becomes a way to get in alignment with the all, which is now, which is not known. So the practice gets you in alignment with the undefined, because you can't define the practice. As soon as you try to define the practice and say, I'm doing it for this or that, you discover that's just reinforcing your misalignment. That just reinforces the wobble in the wheel. That just reinforces the rub, you see. So the practice then is kind of like a hot penny on a sheet of ice, and it begins to melt the ice, and you become more fluid. You become more creative. You become at ease in all situations, because you're in alignment with the now. You're in alignment with all being, which is all life, which is the whole context in which everything happens. If you're in alignment with the all, you're not in misalignment with by focusing on something or yourself, or focusing on, I got to know what to do. I got to know what to do. I should know what to do, you see. So being comfortable with not knowing is being comfortable with the whole of life. And you can only be comfortable with the whole of life. How's my time going? You can only be comfortable with the whole of life when you have a practice that allows you to relax into not knowing, into the all, where I don't single out any one thing to look at. The all, or the now, or the being behind the human, is a relaxed awareness that is awake and aware of the whole context, and is not zooming in and focusing on one thing you need to know or get to or something, or to solve the problem or to get out of it or whatever. You just relax. And then you discover that when you need to know what to do, that rises and you just do it, which again is a practice. So the practice rises out of the practice. The practice is just doing the practice for no gaining idea. So you learn that you can just do life for no gaining idea. And that's love. You just do life for no gaining self-enhancement or alignment. You see? Because life is whole. So let's stop with that. So anyway, I'm going to continue this, and I really enjoy my practice of surrendering to a quote and letting the quote tell me what to say. So when I turn these cards over, I don't turn it over, oh, I don't like that quote. No, I have to relate to every quote. I have to surrender to every quote. And you can do this with anything. You can do it with the Bible. Do it with Krishnamurti. I don't care. You can do it with any wisdom teaching. Because what you're doing there is learning how to surrender your need to know. So if you don't, I don't know what to say, and you surrender to the quote will tell you what to say, and you'll be informed. And you'll discover something you didn't know. Because the surrender to a practice creates an alignment with creativity, because the all, or the now, or being, is creative. Being is creating itself. The world is creating itself like a fountain. So if we want to be in alignment with creativity, which is joy, the joy of discovery, if we want to be in alignment with that, we have to surrender to it. We have to give up to it. And we have to give up the fear, we have to go through the fear of our alignment with things, giving up our alignment with things and future. We're giving up time to be now. So we have to give up time and the idea of getting something or somewhere, which is the way we align with the world, with the road of the world. We're always going somewhere. When we can give up that through a practice in which we have to give it up, we discover that we're in alignment no matter what road we're on or where we are. We're always in alignment. We're always in alignment with the totality. So we'll stop there, and thank you for dropping in.